Folks, with me right now is from Washington is former Republican Congressman Chris Chocola. He's now the president of the Club for Growth, and they back candidates who support limited government and lower taxes. And Chris, I want you to listen to what the president said, defending his handling of the financial crisis in his speech today.
Whether we like it or not, history has shown repeatedly that when nations do not take early and aggressive action to get credit flowing again, they have crises that last years and years instead of months and months. Years of low growth, years of low job creation, years of low investment, all of which cost these nations far more than a course of bold, upfront action.
Well, Chris, the president is trying to convince us that his bold, upfront action is working. Has he convinced you?
Well, he hasn't convinced me, Roland, and I always ask myself three questions. Does it sound good, does it feel good, or does it do good? And the president's speeches generally usually sound good and feel good, but the only answer that matters is does it do good? And to convince me, I guess somebody's got to tell me when in the history of the world Keynesian-style stimulus spending has worked. And the closest thing to an answer that I've been able to get is, well, it hasn't worked because we haven't spent enough. And that's, it's a frightening answer. But I do know what's worked is pro-growth tax policy. You give people the incentives to work, save, and invest, and we do overcome recessions. And so I think that we have to learn the lessons of history, and I don't think that big government, more government spending, we've had a spending problem in the past. I don't think we're going to fix it with more spending in the future. And believing in people to do the right thing when we give them the right incentives, and pro-growth tax policy is the best incentive we can give.
But Chris, aren't you singing a one-note tune, if you will, in that all throughout the election we heard Senator John McCain talk about tax cuts, and Obama lay out his plan. It sounds like the American people made the decision, and it wasn't the tax cut model. How is that the only answer?
Well, Roland, I think that we're seeing the American people react right now with these tea parties that are going on around the country. I live in northern Indiana, been impacted very severely by the current economic downturn. But there's these spontaneous tea parties going on. We've already had a couple. We're going to have a couple tomorrow. And I think people really understand that what we're doing is spending so much money that it's going to have a negative impact for generations to come. We're trying to avoid some pain now by transferring the pain to our children and our grandchildren. And so by putting in good policy now, give people the incentives to correct the market, let the free market work, I think we avoid more pain later. And so we shouldn't kick the can down the road. The president said he wouldn't kick the can down the road, but that's exactly what we're doing, and it's a bigger can the longer we wait to put into good policies today.
Well, Chris, look, I understand the tea parties, but a lot more folks have been put out of work that probably who will participate in these tea parties. So we'll see exactly how that goes down. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it.